All right, next up we have Mike Pereira, Manager of Business Development at the David Johnston Research and Technology Park at Waterloo. Mike is pitching on behalf of Women's Crisis Services, who operates 2 emergency shelters for abused women and their children, plus a regional outreach program, the only charity of its kind in this region. Please welcome Mike.
Hi. You guys hear me okay? Yeah? Not at all intimidating to have to follow all of those pitches. That's really great. So I want to say I am not here because I have a wife or a mother or a sister. I have all those things, but I'm not here because I have personal connections to the women in my community. I don't think that's a relevant reason to get involved in trying to stem violence in our community. I'm here because, on average, Waterloo Regional Police they respond to 16 calls a day related to domestic violence in our community. 16 times a day. Women's Crisis Services gets, on average, 7 calls a day from women in crisis trying to escape. I'm here because they have 90 beds in 2 shelters that are full every single night. Tonight, with women and children escaping violence. I'm here because somehow women in this community managed to find the strength to leave their children, their lives, their homes to escape violence. Mostly though, I'm here because those are just the numbers we know about. That scares me. We really don't know how many women in this community are struggling with violence and can't leave. They might be afraid because they don't know what their abuser will do to them if they try and leave. They might be afraid because they won't be believed. They might be afraid because they will lose their families, their children, their friends. Or they might just be feeling alone and they don't know who they can ask. It's very likely that almost everyone in this room might know someone who is directly impacted by domestic violence. If you don't know about it, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It's because we haven't created a community that makes it safe for women to come forward and talk about their experience. We haven't shown survivors of abuse that we can be trusted to believe them, to support them, and to get them to safety when abuse is happening. Now, I know that sounds bad, and it is bad, but I don't want you to confuse a bad situation for a hopeless situation, because it is not hopeless. I have a little extra time than I thought, so I'm gonna tell you a very quick story. A little over a year ago, there was a woman who got woken up in the middle of the night by her drunken husband screaming at her to get out of the house. He didn't want to see her anymore. So scrambling around in the night, trying to wake up her kids, get them into the car, find her keys, get into clothes, while her husband is screaming at her, and she's worried it's gonna escalate to something a lot worse. So she managed to get to a friend's house, but she couldn't stay there. So she had to go back the next day. I can't even imagine. And so she knew she needed to get out, but she's got 2 kids. She's a student, so she has no income, and she doesn't know where to go. So she reached out to Women's Crisis Services. The outreach program there helped her to plan her escape. They got her in touch with community housing so she would have a place to live. Today, she's back in school, she's thriving, her kids are doing great, they're happier than ever, and she's free from violence. We can make this better. We can build a community where it's safe for women to leave abuse. And that's why I'm here today, because I want all of us to think really, really hard about what we can do to make this community safe for women to talk, to leave, and to live a life without fear. So that's what I'm really hoping you'll do, is give some of your time to Women's Crisis Services to ensure that everyone in this community is safe and can live without fear. Thanks very much.